let's get loud.
100% pure ass-whooping music.
Or as the British say, heavy metal.
It's wild, it's loud.
I can't even hear! I was f***ing front row!
I think it's the celebration of being the other, the opposite of your parents. Here's society, here's my parents, and it sucks. And I am going to be the opposite of that.
Heavy metal started off as a pretty pure thing, and the purity of what it was initially was the aggression and the flash.
Well, the only reason why I listen to it, I'm sure it's the same thing with anybody that does listen to metal, is you get a buzz off it, man. I mean, metal in general, I mean, it's just a lot of adrenaline and a lot of testosterone flying around.
It puts you in a different mood, heavy metal, no doubt about it. You know, you get aggressive. You want to go out and do something nutty. I know when I used to listen to mean music growing up, guaranteed I would smack my sister one.
If you hear Iron Man by Black Sabbath, you know immediately that you are not dealing with puppy dogs frolicking through flowery meadows.
It can be kind of an evil sounding, angry music.
Rock music is for your destructive urges. You know, everybody's got them, so we might as well have music for it. There's the death genre, the Satan genre, the death and Satan genres, you know, and occasionally you get Christians or whatever playing heavy metal too.
When you're having a day, you want to get away from everything and, you know, escape from reality, and you listen to your favorite bands, you know. I mean, that's a draw with all music, you know what I mean?
I was present at the birth of heavy metal. Some people would go as far back as Jimi Hendrix. All you have to do is just go a little bit past that into about 1968 and you got your Black Sabbath. Some of the early Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, a lot of bands mostly in England. Then later you get your second generation with Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. Then there's the poppier aspects of it too, like Poison and Wasp. Very theatrical, a lot of makeup, a lot of hairspray, and it grafted this whole aspect of glam onto it. Americans are pretty cheerful folks as a rule, and they like a little bit of makeup with their heaviness and their anxiety and their drug overdoses.
Initially, heavy metal had sexuality, and then all of a sudden bands came out who only sang about elves, dragons, and evil.
Swords, the trappings of medieval warfare, all of those things just have this fascination for people. And why? Because no one has ever seen it before.
Come with me now and discover the magic.
So of course the girls disappeared from the music because the bands were too busy singing about here comes the evil and the so on and so forth. And the pop metal bands, the pretty boys, started to sing exclusively about the sexuality and forgot the aggression. So they got a predominantly female fan base, and the guys left them and went for greener pastures, Seattle and other places. The best heavy metal band is not restricted by the genre of heavy metal. It simply takes an overall point of view, which is that we're not singing songs necessarily about our lives depending on whether or not our girlfriend is going to stay with us.
You look pathetic.
It's not what it's about. It's a kind of a heroic you and me against the world attitude.
I mean, to me, it's always been banal and stupid and easy to write a song that says, I love you, baby. But, you know, it doesn't say anything to me.
A much more apt heavy metal song might have been by a group called Spooky Tooth. She broke my heart, so I busted her jaw. No wimps.
It'd be hard to sing about something happy if you've got such a heavy riff. I don't know, I just like the darker side of the track to sing about, you know.
And emotionally that connects with a lot of alienated peoples.
The outcasts because they were too short, too tall, too fat, too thin.
I think a lot of young people, especially young boys, get this feeling of frustration and, you know, being an outsider, and they then go and make this angry music. I've had periods in my life where I related to it.
I've always wanted to kill someone. Can I give it a try?
A heavy metal fan tends to be male, which is to say they tend to be much more loyal.
So loyal. The most loyal people on earth. Very adamant about the music.
When you got the Aussie audience in front of you, it's like playing to the village of the damned, you know. But they're a good crowd, my crowd. Really good soul to the earth.
Time Warner did market research and found out that by and large, if you've got a predominantly female audience, they'll stick with you for a year or two, but you'll change in their minds along with the styles. And then later on they say, can you believe when I was 14? I can't believe what I listened to. But you get a guy, what he loved as a 12-year-old kid, he loves as a 30-year-old man, because that's his band. Heavy metal bands tend to have fans who view their bands with a kind of a nationalistic or religious fervor.
Ozzy!
They think it's their colors, that's what they stand for.
It's all a brotherhood. I think generally, if you're a heavy metal fan, you like almost all, the major heavy metal bands. You don't exclude too much. So you'll DIO concert, you're going to see Iron Maiden t-shirts and Black Sabbath t-shirts. People will be looking at each other, with the shirts, and it's like, yeah, okay.
It's a big family affair, but it's not, when I say family affair, it's not like the Mamas and the Papas or the Partridge Family affair. It's kind of like the opposite end of the scale.
They're together, they're a group. I don't think it's so much about rebelling either. I think it's about the lyrics and about the strength of the music and how these people literally give their all when they play it. And so do the people when they dance to it and headbutt me.
A fair percentage of the audience are legitimately nutso.
Anyone else throws a hot dog and I'll break their neck!
They're not just fun-loving guys, they are crazy. They'll be charging around, running into people. It can be scary if you're not quite ready for it, but most of the people there are really ready for it. You can see on these people's faces that they are ready for an alternative to whatever their life may be. Everybody walks out of there kind of drained and cooled out for the coming week of horror down at the hardware store. You see a lot of t-shirts, basically a lot of t-shirts, a lot of jeans, but the t-shirts will generally have the logos of the bands. There'll be a lot of tour t-shirts. Sometimes people will get into the makeup and, to a certain extent you'll see some leathers and studs and whatever. The guys generally, they will not shave. They will have the t-shirt, which may or may not be ripped. It probably doesn't fit that well, and neither does the rest of their clothes.
Yeah, I felt like a badass in that outfit.
Peter, you freak!
My dad would never let me.
My mom wouldn't.
And my dad was kind of baffled coming on the movie set and seeing me dressed like that and just shaking his head.
Yeah, look at you guys. You look like what we probably might have been in 8th grade if they let us.
People have always said it's like devil's music, and ultimately they took that on as part of their the imagery for it.
But the subject matter is all very dark, a lot of times demonic.
I think if Satan were a musician, he would be a heavy metal artist. You won't find Satan in a folk club.
Led Zeppelin comes along, and it soon becomes common knowledge that Jimmy Page is a big dabbler in the occult. Judas Priest represents the devil, Mephistopheles. Ronnie James Dio taking basically the name of God and inverting it into a heavy metal context. Wasp, has a pentagram in their logo. A lot of them will use that. They'll use the pentagram, they'll use the 666.
I actually think it started with Sabbath.
Ozzy?
Well, not too many people were overt about it before Black Sabbath, I guess. Their first album, you've got a picture of a hooded figure.
You can't get a better name than Black Sabbath. We just let them think whatever they wanted to about what that name was about, Black Sabbath, or what the songs were about. They made up their own minds, and their minds were made up that it was dark and doomy.
You must have some major ties to the dark side.
They're not the evil people that their name implies.
What's Ozzy trying to say there?
John, absolutely nothing. The Blizzard always came straight with his messages.
War Pigs, for example. War Pigs is a war protest song. That's nothing to do with the devil.
I think people like Ozzy because he represents a really friendly kind of insanity. His big thing is go crazy.
Let the madness begin.
I'm up there to whip as much frenzy up as I possibly can and get the audience as crazy as I can. And it's just a goal that I have. If I was just to stand there and just sing, I think I'd go and get my head tested.
He's about having a good time. He's about saying what he wants to say. He's a badass.
It's like a divine feeling when you kind of get that mood from the audience going. It's like food for my soul,
To us in the beginning, he means that sick guy that used to bite the heads of the birds and do all that dark stuff.
You can do it, Ozzy! Bite his freaking head off!
Dude, I've heard some of these rumors. Well, I hear he throws puppies on stage and he eats the heads off of birds. And
What else did you hear about Ozzy?
They said he was on stage and there was this dead cow on stage and he literally ate his way out of the cow.
Ate his way out of a cow? I never heard that. That's funny. I ate at Morton's with him. And I don't even think he ate a steak.
The biting the head off the bat, that was really true. I believe that somebody threw a bat up on stage. Apparently Ozzy thought that this was a rubber bat.
You know, the adrenaline's going, and just figured he'd bite the head off and throw it out in the audience, you know, get the crowd going.
But he soon discovered that he had made an error.
Bit into it, and he was like, what the f*** is this? You know, because, you know, it had real, you know, it's a real bat.
If you make a mistake, you got to live with it, and sometimes, a lot of times, I made some real bum mistakes, you know.
That was just a step beyond what people were willing to put up with. But after a while, it was like, oh, it's the best thing that he ever did. It was a story people could tell for generations beyond that.
When everything's in place and you're singing great and the band's playing great, there's nothing in this planet to touch it. It's the greatest high I've ever had in my life, and it's natural, it's God-given.
What do people mean by devil music? Anything you want to repress, anything that is not you, is usually a real good signifier for something the devil must be involved with.
You make the Lord very nervous.
Once you cross the Mason-Dixon line, there are people who, despite what the good book says, do judge and don't care if they're judged. And they say, this is evil, this is satanic, and this is not fit for God. And they judge you.
This very straight-looking guy comes over to me. He says, "You, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne?" And I go, "Yeah." I'm thinking he's the doctor. And he goes, "Put Satan behind you, put Jesus in front of you." I was going bananas. Now all the people in the restaurant start shouting. It's like a horror film. Suddenly I'm going, my God. I'm not crawling out of my hands and knees. It was terrifying.
People started to point fingers at Kiss, and myself especially, and wanted to know whether or not I was a Satan worshiper. And I told him, first of all, it was none of your business, and whether I was or not was not really the issue. The question is who's asking and who wants to know.
I'm always afraid that someone might do something drastic, you know, like I've had a vision, you know.
The guy that walks down the street with a cross on his back is more a pain in the ass than some Satan worshiper who does his business in his own private apartment.
They don't know me. I'm not what they think I am, you know. It's kind of like a prejudice, you know.
Initially, when we first started touring in the 70s, either because I stuck my tongue out or because I'm Jewish, take your pick. Oh, he's a devil. Okay, that's what I am.
You read about something, you know, someone, and they don't know I'm a family man, I'm a husband, and I have dogs, and I don't eat them every night, you know.
Whatever demons are involved with Ozzy are the demons within him, his own craziness, his own stuff that he fights with, and those are what the lyrics are about.
But wrap your minds around this, gentlemen.
The problem with satanic ideas as song fodder is that any new band that doesn't have a clue what to do and doesn't know how to write songs, especially lyrics, will grab onto the Satan thing because it's easy. The devil and the horn, and here comes evil, and backwards it spells live.
I command you in the name of Lucifer.
There's darkness coming. Get out of here.
First album we did, which is called Holy Diver, has the picture of what's supposed to be a monster, which became our logo. He was such a monster, we call him Murray. I mean, real evil name, isn't it? And the question was always asked, why did you do that? Why did you put this monster on your album cover drawing a priest? And I said, well, I did it for this reason. So you could ask me that question, and I could say to you, how do you know it's not a priest drawing a monster?
Okay, whatever.
My point has always been, you must look inside the package before you make your judgment. And my belief is that God and the devil reside in you and I. I'm God and I'm the devil.
In the early 70s, when we first started, people pointed, the preachers, to pictures of me going like this.
Oh yes, right, this.
This.
A lot of people don't know what this means.
I think they're talking about Satan.
Running with the devil!
In heavy metal, referred to as the horns of Satan, saying, hey, we are brothers of Satan.
Hell, Nicky! We are forever your slaves!
Horns were always the sign of evil. That was considered pagan, primitive, and therefore evil.
Dark Prince is here!
I don't do that. I mean, I just do that, you know. I mean, I go that.
I did this because initially in photos, I was playing bass and holding on to the pick, and I never wanted my hands to be stuck to my guitar, so I always stuck it's the only two fingers I had free, so I'd stick those up. Immediately people thought, devil's horns.
Dio was one of the first to use that, and he says that he got it from his Italian grandmother.
This is an old Italian superstition. It's called the Maloik. And the Maloik is two things. It's to catch the evil eye or to give it.
Look at it, come on.
So when I got into Sabbath, I was not about to do this. That was Ozzy's thing, of course. And for some strange reason, this just suddenly appeared.
I'm evil. I'm Italian, but I'm evil.
I think it just symbolizes the whole heavy metal scene.
This means heavy metal rules, right?
Well, I think the demonic part of it might be good for people who like the WWF, but you know, as a serious, legitimate musician, it's hard for me to swallow that.
After a while, it just gets to be a little bit funny, though, you know?
So, I find it absolutely stupid and completely stupid to talk about the subject. I really do.
I'm evil and the dark and singing like this.
It's like, shut up.
Beyond a certain level of intelligence, you can't take that seriously.
Sounds like our devil dance actually worked.
About time.
I think the people who do take it seriously in heavy metal music are kind of missing the metaphor.
I don't know. I think stuff gets blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
And I think it's all individual. I think maybe some people might try and give that message, but I don't know. I think it gets blown out.
Yeah.
Like anything else, it's a show, man.
Yeah, and heavy
It's a
metal.
show.
Heavy metal's a big old, you know, dress up and go.
So I just let it ride. If that's what you think it's about, then that's what it's about.
At the end of the day, this is still the quintessential American experience, which is unlike anywhere in the world. This is of the people, for the people, and by the people.
They will not let it die, and they will not let it die. They live for this. No one will tell them that they can't have this music, and thank God they still grow their hair long.
I don't like looking into the future because I'm always wrong, you know. I just like to get through the day, you know. But I'll continue for as long as they want me to on here, man, as long as I can do it.
Hey, go do something stupid. You know, put on face paint, do your own stuff, ignore everybody else, be completely out of favor. Don't be like every other band. You might have a chance. And by the way, go buy the KISS cell phone. My mom wants another house.